The Kansas City Chiefs have signed running back Michael Wiley out of Arizona State by way of the Washington Commanders. And guys, I have some thoughts on it. You will remember that the Chiefs in this preseason game lost both Janarius Robinson for an undisclosed amount of time, as far as I know right now, and Deon Bush for what will be his season. And we have to worry about the prospects offered by the rest of his career as a 30-plus-year-old defensive back who just tore his Achilles. Hopefully everything turns out all right for Deon Bush, but they signed a defensive end, Nate Matlack, from Kansas State, etc., in college, and a big guy, kind of has some tools, things like that, but probably maybe bottom of the roster type guy right now. Does he have a shot at the practice squad? Well, the Chiefs don't have a whole lot of bodies at the defensive end position, so maybe, there's not a whole lot you can do at that position because of some of the guaranteed money that is there. So Janarius Robinson was a defensive end. Nate Matlack, a defensive end. Deon Bush goes down, a defensive back, and was replaced by a running back. What are we to read into that? Maybe nothing at all, but there is something to be said for the fact that he does have some tools that make him specific to what the Kansas City Chiefs are trying to do this season. Now, it might just be that Michael Wiley, the Kansas City Chiefs, had the 90th spot on the roster open up. They opened up their Rolodex to the very first name at the top of things in order to bring up the talent level at camp, and that was the only thought that went into it. You don't need to bring in another defensive back for losing Deon Bush. Deon Bush unlikely to make the roster anyway. So why not just bring in the best prospect that you have listed as available? Okay, great. So who is Michael Wiley, the running back? Well, he's got some interesting numbers in his RAS score, but nothing that stands out too terribly much. 5'10" and 4/10 inches, basically 5'10" and a half, 210 pounds, a 33.5-inch vertical with a 9'11" broad jump, a 4.51 40-yard dash, that's the same 40 as Rashee Rice, a 1.55 10-yard split, a short shuttle of 4.43 that scores a 3.03, not a great number there, and a three-cone drill of 7.14. Now, what was it that he did in college? Because he spent last year with the Commanders, but it appears to have been strictly on the practice squad. I don't have a single snap listed for him at the NFL level. Well, you'll notice here, he had one good season in 2022 and a couple years that were decent. So as a freshman, he ran 31 times for 106 yards, a 3.4-yard average in his sophomore season, his first sophomore season. Got those two listed sophomore seasons there. 31 rushes for 222 yards. Guys, that's a 7.2-yard average with 3 touchdowns. But then surrounding his junior year, a second sophomore year and a senior year, which look fairly similar. 302 yards as a sophomore, 311 yards as a senior. A little bit better of a rushing average his senior year, but 2 rushing touchdowns his sophomore year and 3 his senior year. Let's look at that junior year where he really sort of stood out. 113 rushes for 771 yards, which is a 6.8-yard average, and 8 touchdowns. But guys, that's not all. This is where it gets into what it is that he does that the Kansas City Chiefs are working on improving this season in their running back room. In his second sophomore season, 297 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. That puts him at 599 yards total offense on the year. In his junior season, he added 349 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air, putting him over 1,000 yards total. And then his senior season, he had 306 yards added through the air, putting him at 617 total yards on the season, with 5 receiving touchdowns on the year. He had 12 receiving touchdowns in college and 16 rushing touchdowns in college. So a guy that is very, very capable catching the ball out of the backfield. And we'll get to this a little bit later, but he looks good doing it. Now, spent all of last year seemingly on the practice squad for the Commanders, so I went back and I hunted down all of his preseason games, and this is the picture that I got. Nothing too impressive here. 17 carries, 57 yards, a 3.3 yard average, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Six receptions, I should have put, 38 yards, a 6.3 yard average there. And those look like fairly pedestrian numbers. And when you pull up the film, he looks better than that. So I'll get to this again later. There's a dichotomy somewhere with this athlete that I'm just not seeing. So, like, you bring up someone like Deneric Prince. I fawned over Deneric Prince. This is going to be a guy who makes the roster, etc., etc. Did not. Well, Deneric Prince never really looked good at football. Deneric Prince was an absolute physical anomaly. Isaiah Pacheco. I mentioned coming out of college, this is a guy that never really stood out at Rutgers, and he has not yet broken out in the NFL. I think that he has shown signs of breaking out. He has gotten close to breaking out. I think he has a chance to break out this year, but we're already going to be 4 years in for Isaiah Pacheco. That was because Isaiah Pacheco did not produce to the level of his physical talents in college. This running back, Michael Wiley, has produced mediocre results, but he looks good every time he's producing. So it's a little confusing. So NFL.com, as he was coming out, rated him as a 5.63 prospect grade. He was analyzed by Lance Zierlein as a priority free agent who said, Wiley has good size and can finish with some thump, but he's missing key elements to be a successful NFL runner. He struggles with reading fronts in outside zone. Playing with one-cut decisiveness and burst, he might be better suited in a gap-oriented running scheme. He's smooth when he gets up to the second level, but he can be too slow getting there. He lacks play speed in the short area elusiveness to create for himself, but he has been impressive putting the ball in the paint as a runner and a catcher. Wiley has some third down potential, but will need to prove he can play faster and with better vision to stay ahead of NFL defenses. I didn't see some of that. So what I saw, I don't think that he has breakaway ability, but I think that this is the perfect running back to take exactly what it is that a defense is giving you. And there's a lot of running backs that will work themselves right out of whatever it is the defense is giving them. Wiley seems to be the kind of guy that just moves forward, the way that Kareem Hunt just moves forward. Look, I'm not here to tell you that this is going to be the next big thing, right? But he looks like an NFL running back to me. This is so the SB Nation site for the Kansas City Chiefs, as you know, is called Arrowhead Pride. The one for the Commanders is either called Hogs Haven or Hogshaven. I prefer the latter. From Hogshaven, Michael Wiley, running back, 5'10", 210. Last year, Wiley profiled as a third down back and possible backup for Austin Eckler. The former Arizona running back opened some eyes in preseason with 17 attempts. Oh, I missed this before I did all that math. 17 attempts for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns, while adding 6 catches for 37 yards. Some fans, and even a writer or two, had him as a possible inclusion to the final roster in August. Ultimately, he was waived and re-signed to the practice squad. When Ekeler went out during the season, it was Chris Rodriguez, not Wiley, who was called up to the roster. At this point, he would seem to be a long shot for the roster spot, especially with the addition of Krosky Merritt, but Bill profiles with below average third down ability as he enters his rookie season in the NFL. Wiley could compete for Nichols' spot as a do-it-all game day backup and special teamer. So you see here, it's not just me. Where's the phrase here? Said something about fans and even some writers thought that he was going to be. Anyway, here are my notes for this player. This looks like an NFL running back to me. I'm not saying he's going to be a 1,000-yard guy, but this type of athlete comes up all the time and will have a 3 or 4 game run where he looks like the next starting running back, right? He reminds me of Damian Williams, a guy who is a little bit underappreciated here in Kansas City. But Damian Williams oftentimes just got what was available on the field. I think that looks to be what Michael Wiley is able to do. I think that he reads blocks well. The Lance Zierlein part of this video, Lance Zierlein said he doesn't read blocks well. I thought that he seems to read blocks well because he's always taking what the defense allows. I think he sets up blocks well, and I think he is a patient runner. Those 3 things are very hard to develop for a running back, and he just kind of has them. He is deceptively fast. He looked deceptively faster in college, I must admit, but that 4.51 does not do him justice when he gets himself in the open field. He is great at catching screen passes. He has a really good feel for the defense and sort of like knowing where everyone is, right? So he kind of, when he is the flats option, he just kind of migrates to where there is no one. And that seems to work out for him very well because he's very good at catching the football as well. He's not the shiftiest guy in the world. But again, if I'm being 100% honest, I don't know what it is that keeps this guy from being successful. I don't know what it is that keeps this guy from being a 1,000-yard runner. That's pretty easy. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not the strongest guy in the world, but he does everything well. He runs well. He receives well. He falls forward well. I don't think that this is a game-breaking running back, right? Like, I know that sometimes it's easy to accuse the guy running a YouTube channel about the Chiefs of being a homer, and indeed, yeah, probably. But pull up film of him and tell me that you spot the flaws. I think that this could be a guy. The Chiefs are in a really interesting spot because they have a whole lot of guys that are definitely NFL guys. Where the Chiefs are lacking is sort of top end talent. They have the best quarterback in the NFL. They have the best defensive tackle in the NFL. Travis Kelce at one point was the best tight end in the NFL. Maybe he still is. After that, you've got a lot of guys who are, some of them, upper end at the position, right? Trey Smith. Creed Humphrey might be the best center in the NFL. You've got a good starting linebacker in Nick Bolton, right? But Trent McDuffie, but I don't think you can say that Trent McDuffie is the best corner in the league. I think that you have to put him in your top 5, but I don't think you have to say that he's the best, right? I don't think, well, anyway. But after that, they have a whole lot of guys that are NFL talents, which means they're going to have to cut a whole lot of guys who are NFL talents. Is Wiley being brought in too late to make a move on this roster? Probably. Where would I place him in competition with Carson Steele? He's faster than Carson Steele. He looks faster than Carson Steele. He's not as powerful as Carson Steele. He is a way more natural receiver than Carson Steele. Carson Steele knows the playbook. Carson Steele has been here for 2 training camps now. So I don't know how you weigh those things in a final analysis, but I think it is unlikely that Wiley makes the team. I kind of think it's unlikely that Wiley makes the practice squad. If you're going to have one of these guys on the practice squad, these 5 running backs, I think that probably it is Carson Steele. So it is an interesting place for the Chiefs to find themselves, but that is what it is. That is what I have for this video. YouTube has on the screen right now for you 2 playlists and a video that they think you will enjoy. If you like this sort of thing, hitting a like button helps me out. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.